Welcome, everybody, to the Dirty Sheets. We are on YouTube today. We are doing a little simulcast. For the first 15 minutes, we'll be on the Dirty Sheets audio. But if you want to see this full show completely, look for Dirty Sheets on YouTube. I am Cav Manning. I am from the Lingus Mafia podcast. Everything I have is at Lingus Mafia. I am with your number one source for your wrestling news and a man who has just come back from the Royal Rumble, which we will be talking about that, Vince, and what might happen at Mania coming up, our own thoughts. That is Mr. Billy Body.
I'm still absolutely exhausted from the Rumble. And I've been to the West Coast and have been absolutely fine as soon as I've come back. But this was just a pure schoolboy error. Like I came home from the holiday on Tuesday and could have actually tried to stay awake, because the idea was to send Austin to school. Austin was a complete corpse, so he didn't go to school either. And me arguing with his mum, saying, "Oh, come on, like he needs to go to school. This is a wasted day. Like he can manage a school day. He can manage to go."
Beat Hulk Hogan.
But this was the plan. It was a plan just to be 3 days off: Thursday, Friday, Monday. So that was what was supposed to happen. So to lose a Tuesday as well is like an extra day, which means that it's a day that we can't take later on in the year for whatever. So it was annoying because she was the one saying, "Oh, look at him, look at the state of him, look at the bags under his eyes and all that." And I was like, he's fine. Like, he's absolutely fine. He slept on the plane. I slept on the plane. So I fucking start to watch Raw, and I get past the Punk and Rhodes bit. And as soon as it gets the Punk, Drew bit, sorry. And as soon as it gets to, the normal stuff with the long matches and just the pointless filler shit, I fall asleep. And I fall asleep until 8 o'clock at night. And then I'm wide awake. So I pop open my bags and take one of these weed gummies. And it says on there, extra potent, start with half. And I'm like, I'm a fucking connoisseur. Like, so I don't need to follow these instructions. This is for weak people. So I take the whole thing. I wake up 20 hours later, right? I can barely wake up. I've had dreams about waking up. Have you ever had that hallucination where you're dreaming that you've woken up and you're just like, shit, I have to wake up and do something? So I've dreamt that I've woke up, gone to the toilet, but I haven't done any of that stuff. I'm dreaming.
Otherwise, you piss your bed.
Yeah, I'm dreaming just about normal stuff. Like the hallucinations are just me waking up, and I put Raw back on, but I've made up in my head what happened on Raw, and then what actually happened on Raw wasn't what was in my hallucination.
Did you book it better?
I can't remember it. I literally can't remember what happened, but it wasn't. I remember watching Raw and was like, oh, like this wasn't what I thought happened or whatever. So, so basically, essentially, I then fucked up the whole day again, and these things didn't wear off till like two days later because it was that strong. I then showed the guys in my group, and they said that they'd never fucking seen a dosage that high per gummy. So yeah, it's only today that I've recovered, which is Friday. And that's why, like, my original Royal Rumble review, which was on the Dirty Sheets, was late, because that was supposed to be done pretty much as soon as I got home. Because I wanted to react to it immediately. I wanted to react to the Vince stuff. But I just don't think there's too much to say about a Rumble. I mean, you can spend all 5 minutes on it later, but unanimous consensus is that show under-delivered for Triple H branded shows, because one of the trademarks has been that pay-per-views have been delivering, and this one didn't. And this, I think, goes somewhat in our favor for anybody that later on down the line accuses us of being the type of people that grade a show higher than we went to. Because you know how people can do that because they have that financial investment, that time investment. Nobody wants to pay to go to the Royal Rumble from the UK or wherever and have to admit it was a solid investment. And the rest of the trip was, because it's Florida and it's Orlando is where I want to be and where I want to ultimately live. So I can do the theme parks and all the other stuff, and it doesn't bother me that much. It wasn't a highly pressurized show. If you go to a WWE event in a Detroit or somewhere like that, or Nashville, especially when you go with a kid, I know Nashville can be very good as an adult with the drugs and the women and the single women on the hen dos and all that stuff, and you can have a wild night in Nashville, but not with a kid. So a lot of pressure on the shows in certain states and towns, but there wasn't pressure on this because it was in Orlando. So maybe that's why I'm more free to say that it wasn't good and I wasn't satisfied by the show.
I could see where being at the shows, obviously, when I've been at shows, it does seem bigger because you're in an atmosphere. The first time I didn't feel that, though, was Mania 13. I thought Mania 13 was fucking horrible, and that was at Rosemont, which was a good atmosphere and everything like that. We didn't do a show together before Royal Rumble, and I wanted to go over that first because I wanted to play something for you first, Billy. And we can comment on this. So you put out a show. You did. But let's get into the weeds here. Here you go.
Whilst I'm out here in the US, you think it would have been easier, but it was actually more difficult to organize this time round. Cav's priorities are completely elsewhere these days, with him now working with Joe Feeney, a guy who tried to make my life as difficult as possible on K100, yet Cav is working for him. He can turn those shows in on time, absolutely no problem, but organising something with me, whilst I'm willing to organise it whilst I'm on my holiday, that didn't seem to happen. So it's unfortunate, no show for me and Cav this week. So you're going to have to make do with me. As I said, my Royal Rumble preview's done on the...
Okay, so let's not let the facts get in the way of a good story.
Well, there's no lies there for me.
Oh, so. There isn't. Okay, let's first start off with, when do we normally always record the show? My time, 3 p.m. Friday. Okay, I know you're in town, though, in the country, so times will be different. You're away. I'm very, very easygoing. I'm very easy to work with. I text Billy at 12:45 my time. Hey, my friend, what time are you able? And we also did NFL those days, too. So I said, I can do NFL on my own. This is me being such a nice guy to give him time. He's out and about. Well, just let me know.
Did that actually happen? I didn't even check that. Did you actually do that?
I did. Right. And I waited. So here's the thing. If Billy would have replied any time before 4:30, Billy, Billy replied at 4:30. What about a Rumble preview? Fuck you. What about, motherfucker. So you made it like, oh, hey, listen, I got to do my show for Joe. I can't do this fucking show. No, if he would have just fucking replied at any time to let me know. But I also did have a life, and I was going out of town for the weekend. I got back to watch the Royal Rumble. I wasn't watching Royal Rumble live. I got back. I watched the Royal Rumble at 10 p.m. my time. Soon as the press conference was done, that's when I was home. Fuck, I stayed up till 2 a.m. watching that fucking garbage. I wanted to fucking kill myself watching this.
So I was here at that exact moment in time. And
he's like, fuck you, I'm not doing a show. I'm doing the Dolphins.
Because these fucking assholes, they don't allow phones around there. And the reason why is because then they wouldn't be able to sell you this package for $170 for 4 photos. Because God forbid, you already give them a fucking fortune to go to the park. So and by the way, I lost 2 photos. His mum just came in and said, oh, I need 2 for my house. So I only have 2 left. But because now these are free. So these are $170. And they do not let you take your camera around Discovery Cove. So
were you in there for 4 hours? Were you in the water for 4 hours?
I was in the park for 6 hours. I didn't have my phone the whole time because you had to put it in a locker.
Oh my God. And even though you knew we were usually due around this time to do a show.
Well, I didn't think about that. I thought I usually record in the evening. So I figured if I got in at 8 p.m., it would only be like 5 p.m. for you. So we'd still be able to do the show.
So I'm like, I thought it would even be, and like I look at it from a side for you that would be, as my cat is on the fucking thing over here, as it would be even a better show because you were with your friends, being able to do like, let's talk about while we're here, and like almost have, I didn't know you weren't in the same hotel. I figured you guys would all be Tampa together. But I'm like, that would have been a show. All your buddies who get into all these things, Umar's there and the other guys, and all do a round table while you're there. I thought that's why I was like, do a show with them. It's 100 times better. You're there.
Yeah, no, that wasn't plausible. Just because I wasn't in Tampa until Saturday. When I got to Tampa, I went straight to Busch Gardens because they were around the wrestlers' hotel. And I was just like, oh, really? Is that what you guys are doing? Because I'm going Busch Gardens because I've met everybody, and the only person that we would have been remotely interested in was Punk. But we even done him like at AEW a few months back. So there was nobody really there for us to do. So I mean, Austin didn't want to do it. He wanted to go to the theme parks, and I encourage that. Like, if you want to actually do something rather than getting photos and whatnot, because this is the thing. People always go around, oh, you stalked the wrestlers, blah, blah, blah. No, you fucking losers. I have a fucking 12-year-old, just turned 13-year-old son. If his preference is to wanting to get photographs for his Instagram and getting some autographs, that's absolutely fine. I did that till I was fucking 20 years old. So if he wants to do it at 10, 11, 12, 13, that's what we'll do. As soon as he turns around and says, we're not doing that, guess what? We're not doing that. That's not what we did. My friends did it as 35-year-old man.
I was going to say, what's with the guy that talk about stalking? He was meeting Rhea everywhere she fucking went for a picture. Did Rhea go you again? It was he took multiple pictures with her. I was like, what the fuck is he doing?
Well, that's the thing. He took multiple because he was always in the same place because he gets special access.
Already done it. You got to take another picture.
Well, I mean, he was at the 2K party. I couldn't get invited to that. So yeah, he ended up going to the 2K party and took more pictures in there and pictures with Cody and Punk in the hotel and all that. But I mean, he's done that for years. He's done that since he was fucking 16, and now he's like nearly 40. So he's been doing that for years and years and years. And he's not an autograph person. He's just a picture. So and that's what he does. And I think him and his mate did that. And then old Umar's in the group saying, oh, thanks for telling me. Oh, thanks for inviting me. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? He posted the hotel there. He literally said, well, this is the hotel. Are you coming? And I was like, no, I'm not coming. And Umar's like, thanks for inviting me. I was like, well, what? I literally said, well, what more do you need? Oh, like, I need to know, like, details. I need details as to, like, how it works. Well, you go there. You turn your head around a little bit like this, and a little bit like this, and you open your eyes, and you see if you recognize anybody, and then you go up to them and say, "Oh, hey, can I take a picture of you, please?" It's really not that fucking hard. He said, and he literally put, "I'm a details guy." Like, so he basically he arrived in Tampa, he sat in his hotel, and then went to the show 4 hours early.
4 hours or 2?
4.
4? That's a long time.
4.
I thought it was 2 hours. And I said, well, you usually get to the place, you walk around, you sit down, enjoy yourself, whatever.
He's there 4 hours early. I told him to do a podcast for me to post on the feed. I said, because it saves me doing one, because my preview was only 6 minutes and I only did it to Barry Cav anyway. Because my other show was my other Royal Rumble show was on the Sports Gambling podcast anyway. So I did a proper Royal Rumble preview. Still trying to work out how I didn't get the Royal Rumble winner right, which is the first year I haven't got it. Fuck me. I don't even know. I don't think I've ever not got it, actually. Since I've been in podcasts, this is the first year in history I haven't got it. And I can only think that it changed late or it changed during the match. But again, that'll be a discussion for later when we talk about the direction of Mania. Let's start with it. Well, let's get onto an actual subject. Let's get onto Vince.
Yes. Now, hold on. First, I'm going to say Oh, we're going to go on to talk about Vince. So this is where the audio is going to end for the Dirty Sheets feed on podcast. So if you guys want to hear our discussion on Vince and all the rest of the things that we're about to talk about, make sure you look for Dirty Sheets on YouTube, because that's where we will be. We'll see you over there. All right, now we can continue on for YouTube only. So the Vince deal, like right off the bat, of course, who doesn't laugh? Who doesn't laugh when you hear the details? And you made a very good point on the last show, because you said it wasn't laughing at the woman per se, right? It was laughing at, of course, this is Vince, because it's insane. The shit that we read is fucking nuts. So of course you're going to laugh, because we're guys who like toilet humor, so I went through a few different thoughts about this. Right off the bat, I said, she entered an agreement and she was being paid. I don't see what the problem is, right? If they had an agreement and she's cool with it, do whatever you want. You want to piss across the room, go fucking crazy. Where it gets different, though, for one, the main difference is that Vince is a scumbag on one level. Only one level to me, I think of. I mean, he cheats on his wife. They live separately. That's in name only anyway, so that's even out of the question. Where it's the big scumbag part is, I'll pay you this amount, and then you decide, I'm not going to anymore. That's some bullshit. When you enter an agreement, which is very odd to me, because in wrestling, we have always heard, like, when people hold him up, right? And you get the Warrior thing or the Double J or whatever, and it's, I want this much. They go do the match. When they come back, he doesn't stiff them. He actually does then pay them, which is why I'm always like, I thought he was like honorable in that point. Like, well, I got a service, I'm paying. So he's like, I'm paying the 1 million instead of the 3. When it's like, but this is not the fucking agreement. You don't just say no. And now you're going to pay 5 times that much. It's going to be even worse. It's going to be a ton of fucking money. And like you said, out of court, I guarantee that too. You know who else is a scumbag in this? Is Johnny Ace, for his now reply of the reason why he says, I was afraid I was going to lose my job. I go, you should have prayed that you got fired for not fucking her. He would own the company. He would be suing them for $1 zillion if he got fired because Vince said, you have to fuck her. And he says, sorry, I'm married. I can't. And I don't want to. And this is a workplace. He would have gotten $1 zillion. See, I think he is saying that out loud so his wife hears it. And he's trying to eat reverse and be like, I was terrified. And even the wife go, what are you, a moron? He goes, no, I don't know. And you play the retard, oh no, I don't know. But that's ridiculous. We see that he shit on her head or whatever, right? And that thing, like, if this is, it's above and beyond, of course, unless you had an agreement. Who knows if she has an agreement? But when you also mentioned, she probably wants this to go away too, because she's going to want to get married one day. And I go, I can't imagine going out with her and like everyone knows you had all of this fucking, it's like you're marrying a prostitute at this fucking point. And it's like,
people do that. So
yeah, it's out there, and like it's a
porn
lot of
stars
shit.
get married, so
Who
porn
what?
stars get married. So
Yeah,
porn stars get married.
Weird.
Somebody's gonna. I mean, would you not marry Mia Khalifa?
No, God, no. I wouldn't even allow myself to get in that zone in my head with like a porno broad or anything. Like if you went into it, you would know just look, this is what's going to go on. I'm having fun and I'm leaving. You wouldn't be like, oh, I'm going to allow myself to date and, I'm going to take her to dinner. None of that shit's going on with those people. It takes a different person to be able to fucking do that shit. God bless you. But where it gets into trouble really legally is where it is crossing state lines and flat out paying somebody for fucking is illegal. So over here, unless you're in Nevada. So that's another thing. And like pimping her out and saying you have to fuck my friend or whatever, unless it was flat out known you're being paid for fucking my friends. And this is what we're going to like. We don't know a discussion, right? That's the part you don't know.
So here's the gray area that I wanted to get into with you, because I risk, obviously, the usual scrutiny that's going to come from people because we're scumbags and I'm racist and homophobic and all the shit that I'm supposed to be, but which I take on the chin, because by 2024 standards, I'll take all of that because the standards are very low. So, I mean, for me, I'm just a truth teller who is very blunt and calls it as it is. And I'll do the same here for this situation. So for me, unlike all of these other people who are trying to cancel Vince and ban Vince and sympathize towards her, and we even heard Bischoff turn around and say this is evil and that's evil and etc. At the end of the day, this was all done with consent. Now, she can say she was forced to do this and forced to do that, but then throughout the entire process, throughout the entire timeline, she has received gifts and bonuses and opportunities throughout. She social climbed this situation so that she would get more and more. And when it comes down to, you know, what we're saying about her being made to sleep with people, or perhaps this was some sort of agreement that they came to, because maybe she turned around and said, oh, hey, Vince, I'll be the best negotiator that you have. I'll be the best in talent relations ever. And he pretty much said to her, well, how are you going to do that? And she's going to be like, ruthless aggression. Like, I'm going to have more ruthless aggression than anybody, because I'm going to do it this way and I'm going to do it that way. And perhaps she's the one who said that this is how she was going to do things. Or maybe there was an agreement that that's what they were going to do to make sure that this deal or that deal got over the line. And, you know, and I don't think there was any situation where, or I don't really write off any situation where they were involved sexually and she initially was just having an affair with him and she asked him for things, you know, in bed or while they're away. Like, come on, like, she's fucking got his dick around her mouth and she's asking for fucking vacations, cars and pay rises while he's about to blow his load in her mouth. Like, it's a lot easier to get what you fucking want. So we're casting her as some kind of angel and victim in this whole situation, this poor girl. Well, I'm sorry, I don't see it that way at all. I see a girl who climbed her way to the top of the company, who was given things throughout, was given pay rises, given cars, was given gifts, was given holidays. And if she did sleep with people, maybe this was consensual and agreed by both parties that that is how they were going to treat the wrestlers. Like, she was going to be a little treat. And maybe she was happy to do it, because if she's happy to fuck, you know, a 70-year-old man, then perhaps, you know, having sex with Brock Lesnar or fucking John Cena or Randy Orton or her, you know, these like better looking, well-built younger wrestlers with higher testosterone levels than Vince McMahon, maybe appeals to her. Maybe she's just a fucking whore who doesn't care about that kind of thing. And rather than going and being an actual whore and go and work in Vegas, she went about it with a smart route. Maybe she's just a very clever whore. Like, maybe that's what no one has the guts to say.
So my thing is always nowadays it's guilty until proven innocent. It's backwards, right? Yeah. Like you said, you don't know what was said in the rooms or who agreed to what. If you only take it by what is reported and what she has put in the, you know, the court documents and all that kind of shit. But that's the thing, is that, you know, one side, two side, it's like Billy saying I wasn't around, you know, for recording. It's things like this, right? So it's the one thing too, though, that you hear is if she's in the office and apparently it's Ace, Johnny Ace and Vince, and they're yelling no means yes. And if she's literally saying no, there's a problem there. So that part
there isn't. And here's the thing, like, I mean, I'm best friends with an escort agency owner, and basically the only type of men who would act like this, which I highlighted on my single show, my solo show, was the men who have been there and done it all, And there's either two ways this can go. They want more power, or they're bored of power. Sometimes you go the other way, where they have dominatrixes, or they bend over and get strap-oned up the bum. Like that's the other way it can go. You could be wanting to transfer the power, so the girl fucks you, or we've got these guys, these rich guys who are called pay pigs, and a lot of girls just like to be, and they like to spoil the girls, and it's called financial ruin. Like, these guys like to have so much money, they like to be financially ruined by these girls, so they just like to buy them everything, and they like to be tied up, kicked in the balls, fucking stepped on, high heels. It can go that. So that's one side. The other side could be absolute power. And the thing is that he's had so much sex, so many people, because he's in a position of power, that it's become so easy for him. The only thing that he has left, which does it for him, is to degrade someone.
Yeah.
But again, was she degraded with consent? Because
some are into it.
I just find it very difficult, because when that first incident happens, when he crosses the line, it's her responsibility to have a conversation where she says, "Oh, Vince, I didn't like that. Like, I don't want to do that again."
Sure.
And I'm sure it would have gone away. But the fact is that even if she was uncomfortable, I don't think she conveyed that, because her priority was to continue to receive these financial benefits. In which case, she isn't. I cannot see this person as a victim when you see all of the stuff that was given to her and had to her, and the very fact that now she's only coming forward and going and taking it to this extent where there might be some deposition, which I don't think it reached that point. She's only doing it, and it might reach this point, because she wasn't fully paid off. It wasn't like, I mean, this is no different to the Michael Jackson cases, because nobody during that time turned around and said, "No, I'm going to see it all the way fucking," except that one case where
Michael Jackson one is, I'm really not quite sure that Michael really did anything, but I'm pretty sure Vince did. That's the difference.
Oh, I'm absolutely 100% certain he did, because the thing is that I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that on screen there was a Kiss My Ass Club, and off screen there was a Suck My Dick Club. And the Suck My Dick Club was the office version of the Kiss My Ass Club. And the Kiss My Ass Club didn't come out of nowhere, because I 100% think there was a Suck My Dick Club. And I would even, and crazily, I don't even think that was just women. I wouldn't be surprised with getting myself.
Billy Jack Haynes, remember that?
Well, remember what Honky Tonk said about Shawn Michaels?
Oh, he thinks Michaels was blowing. I don't know about that. I don't want to believe.
Well, I mean, it looks a lot less ridiculous today than it did when he said it on those shoes.
Yeah, that's what did Tori say? You had mentioned that Tori said something, and I was like, I didn't hear any of the girls' replies. I only saw the Bella Twins reply, which I laughed my ass off, and I was like, they go, "Where is horrified about the the accusations?" And I'm like, and everyone yelled at them. They were like, "You mean your stepfather?" So it was like they're so oblivious to everything. Those two morons. What did Tori have to say?
Let me see. I'm trying to find it. I don't know. Here it is.
Has any of the divas said, "Yeah, he did stuff to me"? I don't think anybody has.
Well, a lot of them have come through like cryptic stuff saying about time, and I saw girls coming out of meetings and they look shaken and whatnot. So Tori Wilson has said they were all mortifying. People didn't realize. I went out there and owned it best I could, pushed through the fear, but it was mortifying. The times when I remember specifically a house show that I was in, this bikini showdown with Dawn Marie and Sable and someone else. I was in the corner watching one of the girls dance in the middle and literally fighting back the tears. Like, I cannot believe I'm doing this right now, because got to like a raunchy point, and I'm like, I don't want to be a part of this, but that was also my job. What a load of bullshit.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, fuck, she was in bikini. It's bikini shows and they did them on TV. It's not like this was some secret thing, but yeah, they did this.
And then she did Playboy.
Yeah, I mean, also she's that's her choice or whatever. But yeah, she's all upset to have to do a bikini showdown is very fucking odd. Makes you think like you look back at some of the things where he's making Trish bark like a dog. It's very much like the shitting and stuff, like the humiliation, the denigration stuff. Like he's into that shit, and you see that he writes it in. And I mean, we all know he's wacky, and you knew he was wacky when you heard the storyline that it would have been him that got Stephanie pregnant. We should all have known right then he was fucking insane. I mean, to think that was just an okay storyline.
But the point is, the other point is this: the World Wrestling Federation, as it was known at peak, I mean, the financial peak is now. Well, at least it might be, unless it fucking all just goes to shit suddenly. The Wrestling Federation was orchestrated by this mind, and when this mind, couldn't run on Hulkamania anymore, it had to sign off and authorize on the ideas that came through the Attitude Era. And when people turn around and go, "Oh, it was Vince filtering Russo's ideas," fine. Well, if you say so, then that's your opinion. Then he still filtered through a lot of fucking crazy shit that came through, such as fucking the Nation's locker room being fucked up by DX and blaming the Hart Foundation with all that shit that was put on there. Yeah. We had Mae Young's and we had Val Venus having his cock chopped off. We had Trish Stratus barking like a dog. All of this came from quite a fucked up mind. And even when I actually used an example of just to go on a different, to go off a little bit, I said that I wasn't as optimistic about creative under Triple H for the next 5 to 10 years because I don't see Triple H as a star maker. I don't think he's made a star out of Solo Sikoa. I think he's failed with Karrion Kross. I think he's failed with Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa. Whereas Vince McMahon is a star maker. He's been a star maker for the last 30 years. Obviously, at the end, he couldn't get it right with Roman. He couldn't make Roman into a babyface. He lost his touch.
He missed the boat on Cena. Cena did that himself, as you said on that show too. Because if if he wasn't caught rapping by Stephanie, he's out of the company.
Right, you need to be able to once you got it in front of you need to be able to recognize and market that, which Vince did. So whereas he may have lost his gift of immediately identifying who the guy is, he was still able to market it efficiently enough. So the point is that. But I don't see Triple H as the star maker. And I use an example on my solo show where I said, I can't imagine going back to Beyond the Mat, Triple H in the office and getting that amped up about Darren Draw's stuff, about draws and puke and that bit. You remember the bit? I want to puke. I want to puke. You remember it?
Yeah, of course.
That's fucking Vince. That's a fucking insane person who got himself into every single character, whether it be fucking Papa Shango, Repo Man, Doink, all that stupid shit that we saw. Visualized that and got it onto TV and tried to convey to each individual superstar how he wanted that done. What I see now is shades of grey and too much grey, because whereas Vince's creations were able to piggyback onto the current creation, so for example, Undertaker, John Cena, CM Punk, the guys, Triple H, the guys that were still there and keeping you interested, like sort of a link from the Attitude Era, they then linked on to introducing us to the Shield and we became interested in them. Roman Reigns has become a bona fide star who people will tune into now. And look, I'm not talking about a core audience, right? I'm not talking about the 1.2 million. I'm talking about what constitutes a good rating. The difference between 1.2 and 1.8 or 2 million or 2.2. It's that 500,000 to 1 million people that they all fight over. AEW is the same. And I feel now that Roman Reigns or John Cena does get people in, but I don't think that Cody Rhodes is going to be able to do it. And I don't think Gunther's going to be able to do it. And I don't think Seth's going to be able to do it. And I think Drew McIntyre is going to be able to do it. And I think this company are in big trouble because at the moment, Roman can get you watching. And because Roman and because of the Lesners and the Cenas and the link to the past, these part-timers coming in, Logan Paul, etc., you can watch the show and you can say, actually, I do like Gunther. And actually, I am interested in Cody Rhodes. And actually, Seth Rollins is a good wrestler. But when it is just Gunther, Drew, Seth, and Cody, I don't think you're going to draw that casual audience that turn around and go, oh, actually, I tuned in for Cody, but I am interested in this Breaker guy, and I am interested in Carmelo Hayes, and I am interested in Tiffany Stratton. It's not going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. This guy is not the star maker that Vince McMahon is. And Vince McMahon's star-making quality comes from having a mind, a brain that is wired to other people. I mean, this guy fucking bought the company. He had completely different ideas from the beginning where he took it away from the independent markets that they were in and took it global. That was all Vince. WrestleMania was Vince. WrestleMania 3 was fucking Vince. Putting it in the Pontiac Silverdome. Hogan was Vince. Warrior was Vince. Stone Cold Steve Austin was Vince. Attitude Era was Vince.
But also you gotta know, like, there's a lot of misses. There's a ton of misses that the people made themselves. Like Stone Cold, sure, and it wasn't Stone Cold. They had to practically kill himself to become Stone Cold with that ringmaster shit. And it was like, let me talk, and he didn't think so right off. It's like, no, $1 Million Man's gonna talk for you. I mean, there's a lot of out of touch stuff by Vince. The stuff I really like with Triple H is very little dumb shit that makes a lot of sense, as in giving someone their last name back. Stupid shit that Vince would do that would drive me crazy at the end with taking away names and stuff. And it was like another one that'll grow crazy. And you notice WrestleMania has the fucking number on it now, and how he took that away. It makes it look old, he says. What the fuck? It's fucking like a traditional. You should say how old this event is. It has tradition. And he's like, no, now it's just WrestleMania, which I went crazy from stupid little shit. I think Triple H is better probably at this point with doing a storyline. Like, I get the whole star thing. Like, if you could have both of them in the same body, one, to make a star, and one to do, common sense things and do a storyline. That's where we need. I'm very surprised that Cody is as over as he is still. Like, I know you were like, oh, by Mania, last year, you thought he'd be getting boos, and there was like really nothing. And he's like,
it's still to me very corny shtick.
Yeah, and it's work though. It's like he's very, very good guy, right? That white meat like crazy, and he's out there though signing autographs before he even comes back. Like, they have to tell him, all right, come back already with you're meeting everybody in the arena. Like, he's really taken that and like made it his responsibility to be like that face of the company. And I'm sure eventually, like Cena was, like, he'll get booed eventually because they all do. You get tired of something. They tried to shove Roman down our throat for how long? They didn't change his outfit. They kept his same music. They didn't do anything. And it was forever that they did that. Like, you could even look back that they never turned Cena heel, which he probably should have at one point. But they just doubled down and made him say, no, it's because, I fight for good, and no matter what, I'm a good guy. And it's like, he could have been, NWO Hogan eventually, one of those things. But nope, push forward. There was a lot of stuff down your throat that did not, work, which Vince loved to stuff down throats. All right. So, let's get into Royal Rumble then. I barely have anything to talk about with Royal Rumble. I had the same opinion.
It's Royal Rumble and the outcomes of Royal Rumble onto WrestleMania. What I didn't really talk about on my kind of solo bit was the quality of Rumbles and things like that. Like, I felt that. So that was my overriding feeling. I felt that there was a lot of hires here who have failed. I think the women's match suffered from them. The difference between the women's match and the men's match is that you had viable winners in there throughout. So we knew Bayley was going to win, or at least I said that she was going to win. She was the front runner for me. So she was in there early. So there was always jeopardy with her.
It's the Batista Triple H storyline.
Yeah, I mean that's probably what it's going to be.
Yeah.
But we had Bailey in there from quite early on. Obviously, the whole time you're waiting for Jade, and you had Becky coming down, Becky, Bianca. They're obviously people that can win it. You had some like eliminations from Nia. She was the Diesel in this instead. You had a lot of good spots, a lot of entertainment from Chelsea Green. She was like the MVP, I felt. So I thought this was better in terms of controlling the boredom and the timing of the spots. The fatal four-way was a fatal four-way. Roman wins by interference. Everybody nearly gets
lackluster too.
Or the fatal four-way.
Yeah. I'm usually into the three-way matches and the fatal four-ways because there's always something going on. Somebody takes a powder for a while and then they're still going constantly. And I usually look forward to those. And this really didn't do it for me at all. I thought the final spot in it was timed perfectly because AJ jumping up to that top rope while having LA Knight pushed into him. Like if you fuck that up, you're fucked. I thought that was it was perfectly done on timing.
Yeah, I think the match that was probably the best received match of the night live. So maybe there's some bias towards that because I thought that's fine. You can't really take marks away for us knowing that Roman's going to win. And I think that obviously damages it. And I think you just have to disregard that going in. I thought the finish for Logan and Kevin Owens was creative. You can argue you really want to DQs on pay-per-view, especially on a 4-match card, which would be the one criticism. But perhaps it's more difficult to... We don't know how difficult it is behind the scenes to sell losing to Logan Paul to people. I mean, I imagine Kevin Owens was absolutely fine with it, and I imagine later on down the line he's going to take that loss. But initially, they haven't gone down that path. So I was fine with that because obviously the main thing is the Royal Rumble. And the men's Royal Rumble match was the big letdown. I thought the pay-per-view went along exactly as expected. Roman won a decent match. Bailey won a decent Rumble. Logan Paul retained with shenanigans. And everything's absolutely fine till what you're actually going there for, which is the Royal Rumble. For us, CM Punk winning, which didn't happen. But aside from that, I felt that it was just very dead for the first 20 numbers, unless you're specifically to like Andrade coming back or things like that. Didn't have any surprises. I thought X-Pac was going to be a shit surprise. I wasn't into the rumor about X-Pac, but we didn't even get that.
I didn't hear that.
So I mean, a lack of NXT guys, lack of legends. Lack of returns. Sami Zayn 30 was like a fart in church. So yeah, I mean, I didn't think end for the final four was done very well either. Like there was no real drama there. There was obviously drama between Cody and Punk, but obviously now watching it back, there was less drama for you guys on TV because Punk was so heelish in that end sequence that it's so obvious that Cody was going to win.
Yeah.
And I even had my doubts on Monday during the exchange between them two when Punk said that a much bigger star has walked the company. For me, that was a big no-no as well for Punk winning. So, yeah, I think obviously disappointing for everybody that wanted to see that. And I think disappointing for people that thought that they would be getting The Rock this year. Obviously...
How could they have done that? The Rock thing.
Well, I reported the issue. I reported on the issue. I don't know if you heard my report on the issue.
I didn't hear any. Oh, I heard you say on that last episode you're talking about, not on a different thing.
Prior to the episode, yeah, I spoke about the issue with The Rock being Fox.
Oh, I did not hear the reason for Fox. I just knew that I heard you say they didn't want to give Fox him, and I'm like, what the hell does that even mean? I'm like, it's their product. What are you talking? Why wouldn't they?
Oh, that's obvious. That is the reason. So Fox is a dead partner. Like they're not doing anything with Fox anymore. Like Fox doesn't have SmackDown. Fox doesn't have Raw. So
but for a year they do.
Yeah, but that's the final year.
You're not going to give anything good because it's still their company and still getting viewers for them on a national television.
Yeah, but it's good. It's good. There's giving them good stuff, and then there's giving them The Rock. So what they didn't want to do was be in a situation where they did bring The Rock back, and then suddenly you had to pivot The Rock over to the USA Network, because the USA Network is the new home of SmackDown. And that would have been perceived as a very shitty move. It would have angered Fox, and it would have angered everybody who buys advertising with Fox. So to alleviate having to do that, look, there's no point. It's like there's no. It's kind of like when you're broke, you know you're gonna break up with a girl, like you know you're done, and it's that last fucking end bit of the situation. Like it's kind of like how teams
ghosting a bit.
It's kind of like how these, how we expect these like 2-7 teams to play in the NFL at the end. Like where
mail it in.
So that's kind of like the same situation here. Like, but you're kind of supposed to be mailing it in. If you wait a year, The Rock starts brand new over on Netflix, and that's a big start for Netflix. If you decide to do that, if he stays on SmackDown, that's a big start for the USA Network on SmackDown. So all the benefits are there. This was the main issue at first, and why they were thinking about going back on it, and why The Rock made some very strange comments about preferring to tell long stories and whatnot. And then obviously you had the Vince stuff come about, and at the moment you don't have The Rock, you don't have Bad Bunny, you don't have Brock Lesnar. I would venture to say Brock Lesnar's never coming back. I see Brock coming back to WWE ever again. Maybe to go into the Hall of Fame. That would be it, even if he would want to do that. Brock Lesnar was supposed to retire at WrestleMania 41 in Minnesota. Like that's been planned for a while, that Brock was going to go until they give him the send off in Minnesota. I don't think that he can do that WrestleMania next year if it is actually going to be there. So
you don't think in a year, people, it goes away.
It does and it doesn't, because this is this group. This is this very safe TKO business partnership where they might not see the need to have Ronda Rousey, and they might not see the need to have Lesnar, and they might just be wanting to market this off the back of the brand. So, I mean, they always say, or at least they have done in the last 20 years, WrestleMania is a brand. Whereas WrestleMania used to be about Hulk Hogan being there and Stone Cold Steve Austin being there. And I think around about WrestleMania 22, I remember when we were supposed to see Hogan and Austin, they took an active step to not kind of blow their load financially on that match, and to basically decide that WrestleMania sells WrestleMania. So I think that was around about the time that they really changed. So, and that obviously coincided with going into stadiums permanently the next year, because they decided WrestleMania sells WrestleMania, which is what we always hear.
So my co-host Fausty Walnuts, right? He had an idea that I thought was actually something that they would do. And I said because of the Rock thing. And I'm like, well, that kind of fucks things up after he gives us that, nugget of head of the table bullshit. What do you think about if Rock was like a enforcer ringside for the Mania main event? This way, because everybody always comes to help Roman, he stops all that. That gives heat with Roman. Like, he's like, what the fuck? Like, you're preventing me from winning. And that's how Cody gets a fair match and wins because of that. Then that could set up something for SummerSlam, no title on the line. And it's less of we know who's going to win or something like that.
I don't think it's a SummerSlam match, and I don't think it's a Saudi match. I think it's a WrestleMania match between those two when it does happen. I think without the title on the line as well, The Rock could go over, whereas with the title on the line, he probably can't. So I think that's probably the direction that we're going in. I do believe that he might get involved in that. I also had an idea that rather than doing that Uso match, that as he's already said he's the head of the table, everybody else who has come for the head of the table has had to go through the henchmen. So it would be an easy way for The Rock to act and not put too much strain on his body if he was to team with Jey Uso at WrestleMania this year to go against Jimmy and Lola to start out with. Do that year one and do that, and then do year two, do Roman, because that then doesn't make the comments so redundant. The comments redundant because at the time where they said the comment, they were doing that match. It was all agreed upon. So it only really changed, mainly probably as a result of this Vince situation. But like I said, there's no credit given to this podcast or this show for the fact that we clearly said that there was something happening, or I said that there was something happening with Vince, that it caused The Rock to pull out last year, and it was big. And now we're hearing stuff about there being 4 women in this suit and they all need to be paid off. And like I said, for me, it all comes back round to this victim didn't get her money. She didn't get her whole money. If she got her whole money, then she's happily walking away with all of this abuse and suffering. But $3 million makes it all okay. That's what because she didn't get the full $3 million, she's decided to go down this route. Now, it'd be interesting to see what the other 3 or 4 women or whatever have to say. I'd be interested to see who comes forward. And it'll also be interesting to see how many years this has been going on. What's Bruce Pritchard done? What's Pat Patterson done? Have men had to fuck Pat to keep their jobs? Because whereas he had to keep Johnny, he tried to treat Johnny. How did he treat Pat? How did he treat his top star, Stone Cold Steve Austin? How many blowies has Stone Cold had while he was on top? What about The Rock? What about Cena? What about Orton? What about Jericho? Well, everybody. What does everybody know? What this is the thing. Like, you know, who's the wrestler who's the closest to Vince, who's always with him nowadays? The Undertaker. The Undertaker.
I thought the same thing with Undertaker.
What the fuck has Undertaker been up to? Like, have they been fucking coming, like fucking putting girls in baskets, coming on them while they're lying dead, pretending they're lying dead on the box and then pissing on the grave. Like, fuck me, like, I don't know how crazy this shit got, because it comes from the crazy brain that created this crazy thing that's wrestling, which we complain all the time that it's not crazy enough now. Because, you know, it's just very much a paid by numbers show every Monday, because the crazy brain that's doing it isn't running the show anymore. And the thing is that, to my last point, and I said this on the other show as well, the part that I find the most funny about it is that the whole world, every executive, has been handcuffed by this wokeness. Like, hire the black people, hire as many women as you possibly can. It doesn't matter if they're the best person for the job. We have to let women fly the fucking planes. Even though that might be fucking dangerous, we have to let women fly the planes. We have to let transgenders fly the planes. We have to put rainbow flags all over the office. For somebody as single-minded as Vince McMahon to suddenly be confined by all of these rules, he probably needed this release to turn around and say, you know what? I have to do this publicly, and I have to do this publicly, and I have to put on this shit TV show where I can't do this story and I can't do this story. I'm going to fuck the shit out of my secretary. I'm going to fucking like go wild in the background. I'm going to share her out with everybody. I'm going to make videos, shit on her head. This was probably his fucking release that he had. Like, whilst everything else was going woke, his release that he didn't feel like he was selling out to everything was to behave in this insane manner behind the scenes. Like, that must have been what was going on.
The one thing we know for sure is that Vince is not racist, because he wanted her filled with black cock as on the text message, which is very odd that he would say anything on text message, like busting himself. You know, I mean, you think he would be more careful.
Do you think he made it like, hey, Big E, it's your time, pal. I need you to do something.
Well, we know Woods would be into it.
Well, you think fucking push Page because he liked what he saw.
God, it makes you think so many things now. Like, he sees that and he goes, fuck, maybe I could get her, you know? Like, you think of all the things.
Maybe he had her. I mean, she had a fucking
Well, who knows?
huge contract. Paid every dollar of her contract was paid off
While
while
was
she just
injured,
sat
right?
at home. Remember?
Yep. And now she got the implants after he's already gone. That's a shame.
Did she have him while he was there?
I think she was. I don't think she was around. Like, she wasn't on TV or anything. I think she might have been sitting at home with him. But surely, she had him when she walked.
He could have flown her around, or he could have flown her over for a meeting. For these meetings,
He probably could have paid for them too. Before we're out of here, do you want to run down what we think matches are so far?
Well, didn't he pay for these? Didn't he pay for this girl's plastic surgery?
Yeah,
this girl
weird plastic surgery. Like, they didn't say what it was, but it was like for doctor visits, and he would pay the bill or something. So I don't know. I've only seen one picture of her, and it's of just her face.
I want to see the picture of her face covered in chocolate.
That's right. I'm like, it's probably in her hair. She's probably like, dude, I mean, I agree to things, but fuck, you could be a nice guy. Like, you don't need to shit in my hair. My God.
Like, if we're doing that, and like if we're doubling something, I just fucking take a shit on her. Are you gonna just be able to carry on? Are you gonna be able to stay hard and just power
I
through?
don't think so. I completely limp at that point. There's no fucking way you could shit on the fucking bed, whatever the hell it was, and I got to stare at a log of your shit. There's no fucking Johnny Ace just continue to fucking go along. I love it. I'm scared for my job. What a fucking douchebag. I was scared he was gonna fire me if I didn't fuck her. Oh my fucking God. So the booked for Mania, like, we know Cody is gonna be Roman. I love that. I love the lie that Seth told us on Monday about this is the real title. Motherfucker. That fucking title. Get away from me with that. Like, this is the real one. Cody's reply should have been, yeah, the other title needs to be elevated. That's why I need to win it. And how about that it's been around the longest? So stupid.
And the thing was with that is it was so stupid because it buried both titles, because he buried Roman as a champion and buried the title and told him to come after his, right?
Mhm.
So when Cody doesn't choose it, he buries Seth's. So
It's like no good.
And this is the for all the criticism that Vince receives for when he went heavily scripted, this is what can happen when you're not scripted enough. When you give people license to go out there and cut their own promos, and you do the bullet point thing that Triple H is doing, well, then Seth Rollins runs himself into a corner where he's shit on another belt, and the biggest shit is going to be on his belt when it doesn't get chosen.
But we don't know how it's going to be.
Sorry?
We don't know how that's going to be. Like, is something going to happen that they would both be like, yeah, you got to go after that title? Because, like, does Roman jump the shit out of him to where Seth's like, yeah, I get it. You know, so then it isn't. Like, things have to happen. I can't imagine Cody just comes and goes, nah, no thanks. And then who is against Rollins at this fucking point?
Well, I think it'd probably be Drew again.
Fuck. And like, well, Priest needs to win this fucking belt soon, doesn't he?
Well, he needs to win it by the next Money in the Bank. But the thing is that
I'm thinking we get the Money in the Bank and they have a clock ticking down. So he's got to do something in that show, because that'll happen one day. It'll get to the full year, you know?
And the thing is, as well, after Seth saying all of this about his title and whatnot, what if he goes on like the 5th match on night 1 and his wife's main event against Ripley?
Would that be a main event to you? It's not to me. It's not.
What, Rhea and Becky?
Yeah. It's a fine, whatever, but I'm not
Seth,
like, oh, fuck.
Seth and Drew McIntyre. Is Seth and Drew McIntyre a main event either?
No, it's not. But this hurts. This Punk injury fucking hurts. I was way into.
Oh, I don't even want to go. I don't even want to go. I lost Punk and Rock in a week. So like Austin flat out said to me, he said, "Oh, Dad, what is there to do in Philadelphia?" I said, "Not much." Why? He goes, I'm thinking of missing this. I think I might miss this one and go to SummerSlam. So he goes, "Can we miss this one and go to SummerSlam?" And I was like, "Well, I'm going to go regardless, but it depends how I go. Whether I can go to New York and then just take a car down to Philly for a couple of days and just get the shows done. Or why
wouldn't you just want to stay in Philly?
What?
Why wouldn't you just want to stay in Philly? A lot easier.
Have you fucking seen the price of the hotels in Philadelphia for that week?
You're a millionaire. Who cares? Gives a shit. I'd rather have convenience than pay for it.
I'd rather be in a...
Well, again, the outskirts of Philly, then the hotel's not going to be like, there's that like Chicago by the airport, and then there's Chicago downtown. Very different.
It's £400, which is like $550 a night for like a fucking shitty 4-star Sheraton. Like it's a complete joke. And the thing is that I don't even like the city. So for me, I'm more comfortable basing myself in New York, doing stuff that I want to do for a couple of days, and then just into the shows. It's not about really the money, because New York hotel is going to be the same price.
Yeah.
But given the choice of staying in Times Square or staying in Philadelphia.
I mean, can you stay at Nick's house? He's in Jersey.
I can do, but I stay at Nick's house. He gets in trouble. So,
God, I remember that story. Do you think I'm always thinking, because we know LA Knight go against Logan Paul, take that belt, right? I'm assuming that Jay is going to be the one that takes the belt from Gunther.
Yeah, I think either that or Jimmy will cost Jay that belt, and they'll either have a 3-way or they'll do the Uso match that people seem to want to see for some reason, and that doesn't really leave Gunther with an opponent. So,
yeah, wasn't the rumor that it was Brock and Gunther?
There was a rumor Brock and Gunther, and Dave Meltzer made up a story this week saying that Bron Breakker took Brock Lesnar's place and did everything he was supposed to do, including being eliminated by Dominic. And there's no fucking way on earth that Dominic was eliminating Brock Lesnar.
Well,
like, it's just fucking...
Maven put out Undertaker.
Yeah, no, that wasn't happening. There's no... I mean, Brock Lesnar wasn't...
Braun made himself in that Rumble for sure.
But Brock wasn't even booked for Australia, so that was bullshit. That story was bullshit.
What was it supposed to be then? Like if Brock was in the Rumble, he would have been in Australia?
If Brock was in the Rumble, he would have done everything that Bron Breakker did, which included being eliminated by Dom, which would have led to a match at the Elimination Chamber in Australia.
So is Braun against Dominic in Australia? I didn't even know that.
No, it's not. It's not. But it was going to be Dom and Brock in Australia because Braun did everything that Brock was supposed to do.
Oh, man.
It's completely made up. Brock Lesnar was not going to Australia. Like, look, trust me. He's not going to. The only trip he made is Saudi because it's fucking very well compensated. Yeah.
God, this went from being like possibly the greatest Mania because of the 2 main events to yikes. Like that's major, 2 major fucking guys that are not going there. So yeah, if it's Drew and Seth, I mean, how many fucking times does Drew have to fucking get this shot? And it was killing me that Seth was hurt. And I'm like, oh fuck. I just stay off until Mania and have that match and get that over with so you could go against Punk, and then Punk gets fucked up. I'm like, oh, it almost makes you think, God forbid if Punk won that fucking match. That would have been fucked up.
Yeah. But I mean, maybe there is no injury because Cora Jay's off at the same time, and maybe these two are like fucking going away together next month somewhere.
How about
secret hideout.
rehab together at the same time. You know what Punk's gonna do? He'll get next to Corey and go, "Can you believe this Vince shit? What a dastardly." Start doing white knight shit. God, what a horrible human being. Come here. Let me go.
I don't think it even need to. I don't think you need to try that hard. I mean, if she's his fucking fan for life,
Jesus Christ.
If I couldn't fuck a girl on command that's been my fan for 20 years, like there's something wrong with me. So, or however long it's been.
So, are we about done here? You think we've covered it all? We get a good show for not being on for a little bit.
Yeah, we'll talk more about it as we move on and see like who can maybe save this Mania. They could break the Steve Austin glass again. He's been 25 years. Against who though?
God. The problem is it almost have to be the main event. Hogan, you imagine that nightmare. I mean, Austin, I think could go. I don't think Hogan could fucking move. God, I don't know. I think they're really going to have to work some magic. I think they're going to have to do what they should have done for the Rumble and pull out like former people, like, you know, get Trish out there or something. You know, it's you got to grab some of the people that aren't around anymore, I guess.
I think if you can get Austin involved in the LA Knight Logan Paul thing, that would be good for publicity for that match. You know, because they say like LA Knight's kind of like trying to be a Austin rip-off.
Austin.
You know, if you do, and Austin and Logan Paul going back and forth is good for like your social media numbers and whatnot. So yeah, I mean that could be something that they do. I just can't see him having an individual match because, like I said, Triple H has not created the stars. I mean, Karrion Kross should be ready to fight Stone Cold Steve Austin, but he's not. No one would take it seriously at all.
What do you think for Hall of Fame? Any ideas?
I'd say Sid.
Oh,
most likely.
I like Sid. I like that would be a good one. Yeah.
I think he's
wondering.
Usually, you can look at the early WrestleCon list and try to see ones that are in, ones that are out. I think it's time to put fucking Demolition in. Whatever that bullshit is.
Beat me to it. I was just about to, and now that Vince isn't there and it's Triple H, maybe. It really should be because that's ridiculous. They're the best tag team that I think WWE had. Sure, they got LOD, but this was their tag team, you know?
You know what's interesting? It just popped into my head. It's totally irrelevant to the show, essentially. But he works for a women's charity called Reign, doesn't he?
Who does?
Mick Foley. He's the ambassador for he's the main ambassador for a women's charity called Reign, which stands up against female domestic abuse.
Mm.
Doesn't he have? Isn't he going to have to speak up? Like, isn't he? Why hasn't he said anything this week?
Yeah, I wonder. I wonder if he will say anything. If he'd just be like, I think they all say the same thing, don't they? We were all shocked. We were all shocked, and we all found out at the same time. You know, if I was there, I'd be like, well, let's let the story unfold before I, you know, blast somebody. That's what I would say.
But because of the story, does this keep away Bad Bunny, Cardi B, Stone Cold Steve Austin? Like, do people just avoid wrestling?
I think because it has new ownership and Vince is now gone, quote unquote. We don't know if, you know, Bruce is busy, but that's the difference. If this was not sold first, this could have been a fucking real mess. But being sold to another complete company that has their hand, you know, in this, and Vince has nothing to do with it, and he's gone, because you saw as soon as Slim Jim said, yeah, we're going to back away from this. And then it was Vince resigned. Okay, we're back. So I really don't think people would stay away.
Okay, but what if during like that position, there's more revelations that Bruce is involved, and even if they're not involved, Nick Khan knew and was trying to hide it. Triple H knew and was trying to hide it. We could end up with a clean sweep of everybody on this key TKO deal that came in on the WWE side and just
Yeah.
end up with all the UFC guys running it and hiring new people.
I could see that, and I could see if any of them are found to like, well, there's proof they knew. I think they're wiping all of them gone. And you imagine how good What Happened When with Bruce Pritchard will be after when he's let go. Not even from just this, it would be all the shit that we've seen go on throughout the years that they'll be able to talk to him about. I mean, he got the show. He got the job because of his show, which is crazy.
What are the chances that Conrad reaches out to Johnny Ace on a new podcast?
And have a new podcast with Johnny Ace?
Yeah.
I think we know that Conrad he wants to be everyone's friend. He doesn't want static with anybody. He wants to be he wants to be liked by everybody. So I think he's too much milk toast to even approach it. Like, I think when I haven't heard any of the shows in ages. Like, I know Bischoff like talked about it, but I didn't listen to anything. And I can only imagine how Conrad brings it up. I bet he
Bischoff
brings
Conrad said he was very shocked. Conrad said he's in shock still, and Bischoff said he can't even imagine what the guy's going through. It's just pure evil. And he goes, my instant reaction is that I want to be done with the wrestling business. It's too much for me to take. Like, it was very woke. It was very like not what I was expecting.
If the woman is crying and she's like begging, please no, and this and that, that's evil. That's fucking you're a piece of shit. The thing is, everybody is just jumping to that this is the way and that's the end of it. And we haven't heard, you haven't heard everything about it, which is what drives me crazy the most. Is you gotta see what the fuck happened before you fucking attack. Look at Jericho. What wasn't it now like that he didn't do anything and everybody wanted to fucking kill him though from the Kylie Ray thing, and that it was he hit on me and it creeped me out, and then it's turned into he cornered her in a fucking room or something. So it's and of course all those fans that are white knights are like, oh, this Jericho, we want him gone, and just end him when you don't know anything of it. That's the fucking problem.
This is the thing that I tried to. This is what I tried to convey on my show, and I said that, like, with having me here, it's very different to these losers who are gonna, who've been with one or two girls, if any. Don't understand this situation, don't understand sexual desires, don't even understand, can't even comprehend the way that sex can become boring. Like, it's like anything. Like, I was having sex after I came with Big Brother every single day. I had social media girls I needed to meet, and I had the actual girls I would meet out during my appearances. So I was doubling up 2 a day, sometimes 3 a day. Sometimes 2 at a time. Once
I was there. I wasn't even on Big Brother.
So, yeah, and that's the thing. Sometimes once you've done all of that, there is place. Now, my fame didn't reach a point where I had it so frequently because after a year or two, it became a bit harder. You had to work a little bit harder to try again. You couldn't have sex every day. I mean, I just didn't have sex recently, like from COVID to last year. I took a massive break, self-imposed, but still, like, I'm not in the same mindset. I don't have that sex addiction anymore that I had then. But once you do have that sex addiction, whether you're me, whether you're Rob Brand, whether you're Vince McMahon, it will become more intense. You will want to go higher and higher and higher and higher. I never got to pissing and shitting. Like, I never got there.
No,
I got to
who wants that?
I got to other things that I don't do anymore. But I never even thought I would try. I've tried shit that I only tried that time. But yeah, I mean, that to me, it made perfect sense. The combination of rich man with too much money, guy who's had too many experiences, boredom, opportunity, power, Vince's personality in general, fucking weird guy. We know that. It all just made sense. And in the end, my reaction was, I just laughed. Like, I just fucking laughed. Like, how the fuck are you surprised? Like that was what I landed on. And I'm gonna get criticized for that, but I mean, do we care anymore? Like, don't.
I don't. Yeah, I know who cares anymore anyway. But yeah, I don't think if somebody heard the story for the first time and laughed, they should be fucking. How dare you? It's like, fucking calm down. You know, you can have a fucking good laugh at it. Nobody's fucking dead here. I mean, it was a. If that's the thing, you have to wait to see everything come out. If all this thing is true, yeah, he's not a good fucking human being. That fine, but like we both said, if she agreed to everything, I don't see then where the issue is, other than the law of you can't prostitute or pimp, because that's what he was seeming to do, is pimp her out. But if she was, he's a scumbag for not paying. That's where it comes down to. He was a scumbag for not paying fucking what he should have fucking paid. So, all right, are we about out of here, Billy boy?
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
Check us out on anywhere you get your podcasts. Look for the Dirty Sheets. That's where you're going to find these wonderful podcasts, and you could subscribe and get extra shows that we always have up there. And we will be on the YouTube time to time, but for the most part, that's where you want to go. You want to go also to lockbetting.com, because Billy does gambling as well, for those of you who don't know, and he has a hell of a monthly streak going on. You can make a ton of money. People are banging on the doors and on the group chats to get in. And you could also go on Twitter at LockBettingX to find Billy. You can go to at Dirty Sheets X, that is for the show. And mine, of course, is patreon.com/Lingus Mafia. All of our shows on there, commercial free earlier, and the pay-per-view reviews, all that stuff is there at Lingus Mafia on X. So for Mr. Billy Body, I'm Cav Manning. We'll see you next time.